Hello, fellow heart travelers. My name is Christopher Box. Welcome to my studio and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the modality human design and how it completely changed the trajectory of my life. When I say it completely changed the trajectory of my life, I used to live in Dallas, Texas. I now live in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. I used to be a hairdresser. I'm now an artist and gallery owner and candle maker. I went through a divorce. I am in a new relationship. I lost a lot of friends. I have a whole new friend group. When I tell you that human design changed the trajectory of my life, I literally mean it changed a lot of things. And the Chris that existed in 2019, that book of me, I am in a new book, not a new chapter, but a brand new book. I didn't realize that how much of a change was going to happen when I found this information. Just to be clear, this is really going to be my personal story about human design. So we'll talk about some human design terminology. I don't want us to get caught up in the terminology in this video. I just wanted to share my experience and how I find so much value in this system. And I want to share just that, flash forward 6 years of using this, how the changes that you can make in your life. Let's go back in time. February 2019, a good friend of mine invited me over for dinner, and it's one of my best friends, a soul friend actually. We are usually experiencing similar energy, similar stories, but just, how about this? Similar plot lines but just different stories going on. We've been getting together for years. We get together about once a month and just discuss whatever we want to discuss. Nate and I have always been on a journey of self-discovery, but it just deepened in 2019. I went over, Nate cooked a delicious dinner, and then we sat down for the chat. And Nate mentioned that he had a session to do a past life regression. I was fascinated and had lots of questions, received a bunch of answers that I actually didn't understand at the time. I knew that, what I love about Nate is he's always taking in new information. Like, he is somebody that's always expanding and growing as a human. When I got home, I got on our friend Google and looked up past life regressions. And you're like going, Chris, what does past life regressions have to do with human design? Nothing. But it was a stepping stone to finding it. So I found a podcast that had about past life regression, but the second part of it, they had somebody on talking about a modality called human design. They described it as a soul blueprint. Basically, it's like getting the owner's manual to the car of you. And at the time, I feel like that time is when I first started I'm going to use the word waking up. I started having new questions. I was a lot more interested in spirituality. I was a lot more interested in how things kind of work in this world. After getting done with the podcast, I sat with it for a couple days and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I decided to go ahead and pull my chart. I went to mybodygraph.com is where I started. It's like human design is a mixture of Chinese I Ching, Kabbalah, and astrology. You need your birth date, the time you're born, and location. It's pretty easy and it's free. So I put it in mybodygraph.com. Personally, these days I use geneticmatrix.com. I will leave a link below. I'm like, what do I have to lose? So I popped it in and spit my chart, very weird, complicated looking chart out. And I looked at it and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this? I'm like, really, what do I do with this? It began, which has now been 6 years, a long journey of self-discovery. Some of the things that I could tell immediately, it said I was a projector, and projectors are guides. They're here to guide, and that one bit resonated with me because at the time I had been a hairdresser for 20 years, and I feel like I am a really good hairdresser. But the thing is like there's nothing fancy about how I do the hair. I'm being honest, but the thing is, I always had a really good clientele. I always had people who wanted to get their hair done with me, and my books were always full. That one thing was a huge aha moment, because that had been information, feedback that I'd been given my whole life, that people really did feel like I'm the person that people would come to when they have a question about life. I'm the person my friends come to for advice. That really resonated with me. I bought a book by Karen Curry Parker called Understanding Human Design. I got it in the mail and I started decoding my chart. I was looking at my chart and some things that I could see immediately that, you know, I am a 3-5 splenic projector. The 3 indicates I'm an experiential learner. That is huge for me because I am an experiential learner. I like to get my hands in it. I like to test things out. I'd taken a lot of personality tests before that, and that just being able to get that from my birth date and the time that I was born and the location was huge. I am also a 5. That 5 is an indicator of having to take something, information, embody it, and then being able to share it. I think human design is an invite to be the you-est you can be. So there were some like core truths that really kind of resonated in a way that I decided to book out some sessions with an expert. 3 sessions back to back. I loved every single minute of it. For as much as they answered my questions, it also created a bunch more questions. I loved it, and equally the other side of it is after those 3 sessions, I didn't know how to actually leverage it. I didn't know how to ask the right questions. For me, it just didn't hit right. I didn't feel like I could leave the session and try to figure things out on my own. I went on down the rabbit hole. For the first 6 months of 2019, it was amazing. Like I felt like this wave, this breath of fresh air, this new wave. I felt connected to. I just felt like more in the flow. I felt really good. Life began to kind of open up a bit more. I started to change, evolve, and grow as a human. In late 2019, my husband at the time came to me and was like, I want a divorce. That was devastating. It was a deeply shocking, I mean, it broke my heart to say the least. We'd been together for 12 years. When he came to me and told me that, my expectation would be like, okay, great, I know that things need to change. But what I didn't expect is that 2 weeks later, he moved out and I've never seen him face to face since. So it was a deeply shocking experience. Because I had been studying and playing around with my design, I had an aha moment because in my chart, one of the main energies I'm here to embody and learn is called the gate of shock and the gate of initiation. It asks you to pay special attention to shocking things that happen in your life. And well, here was a huge shocking thing. It was another invitation from human design to learn more. We went into 2020. We got into the whole pandemic thing and things were pretty bad. I was going through a really tough time, but luckily I had human design to kind of focus my energy on and kind of begin to understand kind of the themes that me and my ex-husband had gone through. And it really it gave me the why. I understood the why without having to talk with my ex-husband, and it gave me a sense of closure and peace. And I found that so profound that I knew at that moment that I wanted to do more with human design. At the time, Karen Curry Parker was running a deal for her certification because the pandemic was going on and we all thought the world was ending at that time. And the funny is, I think it did end, but not in the way we think. Just more of the energy shifted. We got a deep invite to go inward and to begin to really question if the things in our life were in alignment with who we really are. These are all things that I've been curious about. Like and it's funny because in my chart, I'm open-minded. Literally, I can see it. I'm open to these things, and equally I have a high level of discernment. I have a high level of skepticism, but the skepticism isn't something that gets in the way. It doesn't block me from learning. It just means that I have a high level of discernment. I had some questions and some concerns. I reached out to Karen and her team. I just asked if somebody could call me, and I just wanted to talk real quick about it before I purchased it. What was really cool is that Karen Curry Parker called me. I really think that was cool. And she spent about 10 to 15 minutes with me, talking with me, just telling me about her and her program. It impressed me so much that I went ahead and decided to buy the program. And at the time I was like, I'm going to be a human design expert. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start coaching, and I'm going to do this within 2 months. 5 years later, just now wrapping up my level 4 in that program I bought in 2020. I can actually see that in my chart too. Like, my chart is something that is saying that I'm here to embody it. I have to learn it, like to know things from the mind versus knowing things from your heart. I have to live it. I have to feel it. I have to experience in order for me to be able to make the most use of it. It took me a lot longer to be able to go through that process. During that time frame, a lot of change happened. I had my divorce. I had to sell my house. I had to do a lot of things. I ended up losing some of my best friends. I ended up having a lot of change in a short amount of time. I've lived now in Northwest Arkansas in a beautiful art town called Eureka Springs. I get to make art like this. I get to be on my own schedule, knowing that in my chart indicates that I need to have a lot of alone time. Now I do. And what that allows me to be able to show up in the world as my most authentic self. It was huge. It was a huge, pivotal, life-changing, expanding, I could keep giving you adjectives. The bottom line is that human design gave me a language to begin to describe what's going on the inside of me. That way I can better express myself. Like, I didn't understand. I thought I was having the same experience that everyone else was having. And it always felt to me like there was something wrong with me, that there was something that was off and that I just couldn't get it. I had a deep sense of relief. I realized I wasn't broken. I realized that I was actually just trying to be a lot of things that I'm not. It took me a lot longer and it's one of the things in my chart is about surrendering, the mind surrendering to the heart. And it took a while. It took a while for me to understand what that actually means, to surrender to your heart, which is really a nice way of saying surrendering to the most authentic version of yourself. In order to know who you are, you have to know who you are not. There was just so many pieces of the puzzle that I was able to put together and be able to kind of see the forest for the trees. Just now, within the last year, am I really able to verbalize the experience that I've had with utilizing in human design. They call it going through the process of deconditioning, which what that means is basically saying this is the template of who I am, and then you start comparing it to who I am right now, and then you start experimenting with these core truths to see if that's in alignment. I have pulled hundreds of charts. I have done many, many different sessions. I still find truth. I still find value. I am moved every time I have a session with somebody. I've had a lot of time to experiment with this information, so much so that I have a really unique 90-minute session that I do that brings you through your chart, that brings you through your energy in a fun, playful story that when you're done, you can actually have tools that you can start unpacking the energy of you. So it's very actionable. It's very much something where when you're done, you can kind of start deep diving into your chart, because the truth is like, I could tell you in 5 minutes the things that you need to know. And if you followed those things, that it would make huge changes in your life. But most people are pretty curious and want to know the why. And I think that's part of the fun, is unpacking it and discovering yourself. Then once you start understanding your energy and then you start stacking these pieces, you start kind of going, wow, I am a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event. That's what Karen Curry Parker says, a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event. And after pulling as many charts as I have, I can actually see that we all are. We are so different, so unique, so individualized. I still find it fascinating. I feel like that human design is a great way for you to begin the journey back to who you really are. With that being said, if you have found this information to be exciting, fun, interesting, do hit that like button. Also, if you would like to continue this journey with me, hit that subscribe button. I've got some links in the description about some of the things that I talked about. I really appreciate you spending this time with me. If you have any questions, be sure to list those in the comments and I will definitely get back to you. Until next time, my friends,